Hey guys, I'm back to do another character review. Like my friend mentioned in his video, this time we're going to mix it up a little bit and do reviews like we did a while back. One video, one character that he dislikes and one character that I dislike. And this time we're doing reviews of Timon and Pumbaa from the Lion King franchise and Elsa from Frozen. He did his Timon and Pumbaa video yesterday, and I'm here today to do my Elsa video. I've got a pretty long list of complaints about her. Hopefully it won't take too long. I've got them divided into, two separate sections. The first one being my friend's complaints about her, and the second one being complaints that he doesn't really agree with. And the complaints are, she's a badly written and developed character. She has a minimal personality to the point where she's one-dimensional and we know nothing about her. She's not as dutiful as people make her out to be, and I'll explain more about that when I get to the complaint. She was supposed to be a changed person after Let It Go, but still stays the same. She's a bad role model. While not stupid, she seems to lack a lot of common sense. She's a bad representation of people with anxiety and depression. She's just a blank slate, self-insert for the audience to imagine themselves. She doesn't try to help Anna, I should say, when she sees that she was struck by one of her ice beams. She's a hypocrite. She sends a monster to make Anna go away without considering the fact that it could kill her. She's boring. She's hurt by being neither the main protagonist or the antagonist. Her character development is horribly done, rushed, and pretty much non-existent. And the other complaints are she has no personality. She and her movie are overrated. People only like her because of her song Let It Go. Her fans are annoying. She gets more attention than Anna, who is the protagonist and does all the work. She and her movie are an insulting adaptation to the Snow Queen. Okay. And like I said, I will explain, I will read through the whole complaint that my friend wrote when I get to it. Some of them are just very long. Starting with, she's a badly written and developed character. Yeah, there's no denying that she's not very well written. I'm not gonna deny that. She's not badly written to the point that it makes me dislike her. I mean, when I think of a horribly written character, to the point that I hate them, I think of characters like, Dimitri from Anastasia, and Peter Pan from the original Peter Pan movie. those are more what comes to mind, when I think of really horribly written characters. I guess that it's kind of subjective and it depends on how much bad character writing you can handle. So yeah, I do get this complaint. She's definitely not a very well written character, but it was never to the point where it really bothered me. And yeah, when I think of bad character development, I also think of like Dimitri from Anastasia, where he Anya puts on her dress and does her hair, and suddenly he's in love with her, and then out of nowhere he falls in love with her and that sort of thing. So, uh, and, with Peter Pan, who really had little to no character development, where, he, he suddenly, where he's the hero and he's going around basically killing people for pleasure, and then after Tinkerbell saves him from Hook's bomb, he suddenly realizes that his friends are actually important. Those are the kind of characters that come to mind to me when I think of really bad character development and badly written characters. I'm not gonna deny that that Elsa was was poorly written and didn't have good character development, but it wasn't to the point that I dislike her. So I guess that's kind of personal taste, and has to do with how much bad character writing you can handle. She has very minimal personality to the point where she's one-dimensional and we know nothing about her. I definitely wouldn't say we know nothing about her, and I will talk more about this in later complaints, because it kind of overlaps with some of them. And I'd say probably more two-dimensional than one-dimensional. And I'd also like to mention to my friend that he did mention in the unpopular childhood animated movie heroine's confessions that being a one-dimensional character was not necessarily a bad thing. But I don't think that we necessarily know nothing about her. I mean, we do know that she has a tragic past, and that she's afraid of her powers, and doesn't know how to control them, and that sort of thing. And like I said, I will get into this into later complaints. But at least I'm willing to admit when when a character I like isn't a deep, complex character, unlike the Aurora fans. She's not as dutiful as people make her out to be. Not only does she run from her problems and never faces them, but she did that before she revealed her powers. But it's only for today. No, it's not, Elsa. You're the queen. You're going to have to talk to and see the people, because That's part of your duties as the queen. She can't just be crowned at the coronation and just never have to deal with any duties. But that's exactly what she thinks she can do. I'm afraid it doesn't work that way, and it shows that she's not dutiful. She's constantly running from her problems and never actually tries to fix them, but instead just tries to run from them, despite knowing that people are suffering, and then just running away isn't helping. And that's what my friend wrote about her not being dutiful. Well, as what sorry, I'm not talking very well today. As far as her not being dutiful, I will admit that she does run from her problems, but that's one of her flaws that makes her human. And as far as her not trying to fix her problems, I always got the impression that, during the song, Do You Want to Build a Snowman? In that, excuse me, during the scene where, Anna is outside her door and she's inside, and there's snow and ice covering her room and that sort of thing. I always got the impression that that was her trying to learn how to control her powers, but she never learned how. Yeah, it's bad character writing, and they should have been more obvious with it, probably, but that's always the impression that I got. And I always got the impression that, during the whole coronation thing, she was, going to try to hide her powers until she got them under control and that sort of thing. And yeah, I'm not going to lie. She does try to run from her problems, but that's part of her flaws that makes her human. And I also got the impression that, part of the reason that she runs away isn't just because she wants to hide from her problems, but because she feels like the people would be safer without her to cause them any more problems. Yeah, I know that it's the coward's way out, but again, it's what makes her human. That was always the impression that I got. And yeah, it's bad character writing, and they probably should have been more obvious with it, but that was always my take on it. And no, I don't think that she's as wonderful and dutiful a character as a lot of people make her out to be, but I always saw her as being a human character with flaws. She was supposed to be a changed person after Let It Go, but still stays the same. Old habits die hard, I guess. Yeah, that's... that is, I guess, part of her bad character writing. That is probably part of her bad character writing. I think that Let It Go was supposed to be a developmental moment in her character, um, and supposed to show a gradual change in her, but they didn't do a very good job of it, so I'm not gonna deny that that wasn't great character writing. And, old habits die hard, I guess. um, and you wouldn't expect her to change overnight and become a completely new character. Um, she's a bad role model. I don't think that she's a horrible role model, personally. To each their own. And I think that, Anna was intended to be more the role model in Frozen anyway than Elsa was. Well, as I've said before, while Elsa is definitely human and definitely has her flaws, at least, I do think that she does learn in the end, to take responsibility for her actions, which I will get into in later complaints. And I think that Anna was intended to be more the role model in Frozen than she was. So while I can get this to an extent, more than I can with other characters, being accused of being bad role models, I definitely don't think that she's a horrible role model. While not stupid, she seems to lack a lot of common sense. To an extent, she definitely doesn't have the most common sense of a lot of Disney princesses. Yeah, to an extent, excuse me. I will talk about it more in later complaints because it does kind of overlap. I mean, it was, like I mentioned before, her trying to hide her powers, it, until she got them under control as queen, probably wasn't may not have been the brightest move, but, she was also probably afraid that the people would take her to be a monster. So I can get this to an extent, but, I don't really know what else she would have done until she got her powers under control. So while I can get this to an extent, I also don't know what else she would have done in a lot of places where she didn't use what we consider to be common sense. She's a bad representation of people with anxiety and depression. The reason for this is because they don't tell us about Elsa as a person and make it seem like her anxiety and depression are all there is of her, which is insulting, because someone with anxiety and depression is a person with a personality, first, and someone with anxiety and depression second. Yeah, I can definitely get this complaint. Um, I wouldn't say that it's all there is of her, but it is mostly what there is of her. Um, I wouldn't say that it's her only personality trait, but it is mostly what it is of her. So I can definitely get this to an extent. Um, and I can see why she does bother some people who have anxiety and depression and that sort of thing. Um, but I do think that she has some personality aspects outside of her anxiety and depression. Um, um, Especially her kindness and her love for her sister and that sort of thing. They're just not shown very often. Sadly, because she was pushed aside. Um, so while I can get this to an extent, I wouldn't say that it's her only personality aspect, and I do wish that they had explored some of her other personality aspects more. And probably one of the reasons that I do like her is because she's one of the few Disney characters, especially heroines, that's actually shown as being depressed. um, and the reason that I say that she's kind and that she loves her sister is because she was very sacrificial by cutting herself off from her sister, even though it put the idea in her sister's head that she disliked her, cutting herself off from her sister to protect her. Um, for really their whole lives. And, to me that was very kind and very loving of her. But to each their own. She's just a blank slate, self-insert for audience to imagine themselves. To an extent. Like I said, she's probably more of a two-dimensional character in my opinion. I wouldn't say that she's as much a blank slate as say Aurora is, or something like that. I mean, to me, she definitely has more of a personality, and we know more about her than, say, Aurora. I mean, with Aurora, she, pretty much all we know is that she was, raised in the forest, she's nice, she's, respectful, she has a sense of humor, and, she dreamed about meeting a prince, and, was unhappy when she found out, she dreamed about meeting a prince, she was unhappy when she found out that she was a princess because of the guy that she met, then she slept through the rest of the movie. So, while I do get this complaint to an extent, and I do think that I do think that some fans probably do this with Elsa. I wouldn't say that it's as much as with, like, Aurora. Um, Um, and like I said, to me, she's more of a two-dimensional character. Um, not the best written character, but I still personally like her, and but to each their own. She doesn't try to help Anna when she sees that she was struck by one of her ice beams. I've always thought that the reason that she didn't was because she was afraid that she would do more damage. I mean, how heartless do you think she is? No offense to my friend, but he always gets upset when, people try to make Ariel out to be a heartless monster, for, for not learning her lesson, because, she wasn't shown actually apologizing to her father. So, I imagine that, that Elsa not helping Anna out because she was struck by one of her ice beams, there was actually a logical reason for it, like, she didn't want to hurt Anna anymore because she actually hurt her already, and knew that, and knew that she couldn't control herself and would do more damage. She's a hypocrite. She has the nerve to criticize Anna about not knowing anything about love, when Elsa knows even less about it, in my opinion. To each their own, but, I always saw it as giving sisterly advice. I always saw it as giving sisterly advice, and not, and not running off with a guy that you just met. Yeah, it probably could have been phrased in a better way, but, also, you have to remember that, Elsa spent her entire life locked in her room, so she probably didn't know exactly the polite way to say things to her sister, since, she was never actually taught about manners and that sort of thing. She sends a monster to make Anna go away without considering the fact that it could kill her. I always got the impression that, she created the monster to, scare people away from her castle and protect them from her. Again, what kind of monster do you think she is? I mean, it's never actually shown that she created the monster specifically, to make Anna go away. So I always got the impression that she, created it to protect people, from herself and her ice powers that she couldn't control. But that's my personal opinion. She's boring. To each their own. To each their own. Boring is in the eye of the beholder. I can see why. Someone would find her boring. Like I said, she's a one, maybe two-dimensional character, and not the best written. So I can definitely get this one. I'm not gonna get too deep into it. She's hurt by being neither the main protagonist or antagonist. While she probably would have done better as one or the others of those. And like I said, she's not the best written character in the world. I still don't think it makes her a horrible character. I mean, I still personally like her. I mean, I know that in the original movie, in the original story of the Snow Queen, she's the antagonist. So, I probably would have actually liked her better as the antagonist, but, it doesn't keep me from liking her. Her character development is horribly done, rushed, and pretty much non-existent. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue, like I said, that her character development is poorly done. Like I said before, when I think of characters with a really bad character development, I think of, like, Dimitri from Anastasia. But, I also wouldn't say that it's non-existent. And also you have to remember that, Anna is the protagonist, so the focus was pretty much on her. And Elsa was more of a side character, and there are very few Disney side characters that develop that much. So while I wouldn't say that it's completely non-existent, yeah, I'm not gonna deny that it was poorly done. But yeah, she does develop and find her find her courage and learn not to run away from her problems, in my opinion, and learn to overcome her ice powers, or learn to control her ice powers. And the other complaints are she has no personality. Like my friend and I have mentioned in many videos, unless you're talking about a very, very minor background character with only one or two lines, there really is no such thing as a character with no personality. I mean, it may be a one-dimensional personality, it may be done poorly, it may not be one that you like, but they've got a personality. And this complaint gets thrown around a lot. So while I will admit that Elsa's personality is, one, maybe two-dimensional, and not the best developed, or the best done, she's definitely got a personality. She and her movie are overrated. Yeah, they probably are. Especially with all of the Frozen merchandise and stuff everywhere. Um, I definitely won't deny that. Um, and I can see why that's annoying, but, a movie or a character being overrated, doesn't change the fact that it's a decent movie or character. I mean, if you personally like Elsa or Frozen, um, then don't let the fact that the movie and that she are overrated keep you from liking it. If you dislike them, then, then I still wouldn't add this to my list of reasons why I dislike them, because, it doesn't really have anything to do with it doesn't really have anything to do with them. It has more to do with, it has more to do with Disney advertising them and fans liking them too much. People only like her because of her song Let It Go. Again, this really doesn't have anything to do with Elsa as a character. Even if fans only like her for her song, that really doesn't have anything to do with Elsa. So, nice try, but pick a better reason. Even if you do dislike Elsa, I wouldn't add that to my list of to my list of reasons that I dislike her. Her fans are annoying. Again, annoying fans have nothing to do with Elsa as a character. Believe me, I've dealt with plenty of annoying fans, with a bunch of my favorite characters, and it doesn't keep me from it doesn't keep me from loving the character. Yes, while they are annoying, that has nothing to do with Elsa as a character, so again, nice try, but pick a better reason. She gets more attention than Anna, who is the protagonist and does all the work. Again, Elsa getting more attention than Anna has nothing to do with her as a character. That sounds like you have more problems with her fans than you do with her as a character. So, if I were you, I wouldn't add that to your list of reasons for disliking her. Nice try, but pick a better reason. Just because you wish Anna got more attention isn't really a legitimate reason to dislike Elsa. This is all of these are very nitpicky and invalid, and just sound like some people looking for reasons to dislike her. She and her movie are an insulting adaptation of the original Snow Queen. This one I do get to an extent. Yeah, the movie Frozen especially, I'd say, is kind of an insulting adaptation of the original Snow Queen. It's in my opinion, pretty poorly done compared to a lot of Disney movies, but And I personally am not fond of the actual movie Frozen, but mm. So I can get this to an extent. I guess it's subjective and depends on how much insulting you can take. I mean, I've heard people argue that the classic Disney fairy tales were insulting to the original. So that's very subjective uh and depends on how much you can take. Um so this one I do get to an extent. Um I Yeah, the movie I'm definitely not crazy about. Elsa, I can also see why some people might find her an insulting adaptation of the original Snow Queen. Personally, I do like her as a character. I don't find her insulting enough to keep me from disliking her, but to each their own. Um, I mean, I pretty much view her as a separate character. I guess from the original. Uh, anyway, that's about all I have to say. Um, Most of these complaints I can get to an extent. Some of these complaints I can get to an extent. Others I find pretty nitpicky and invalid. Um, Personally, I do like Elsa a lot. She's my third favorite Disney princess after Snow White and Tiana. Even if she doesn't have a lot of... Even if she isn't the best written, and even if she is kind of two-dimensional. I don't think that she is as mysterious and dutiful and stuff as a lot of people make her out to be. But I also don't think that she's as horrible a character as other people make her out to be. I just think that she's I just think that she's human, I guess, and and that sort of thing. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. The link to my friend's video will be in the description box below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye and see you next time.